piece. The British and Canadians had their own variants. I do believe one of them being the Bishop, which was basically this one, but with a 25-pounder gun instead. Looks like these. And looks like those British troops bit the dirt as the Tiger knocked them out. Artillery fire desperately raining in amongst the Tiger, but hitting nothing. Instead hitting the troops right behind it, trying to support it. And then nothing again. And we are hearing the howling of the Nebulurfers once more as an American assault is moving in towards the west, towards the central point. Hitting the riflemen and even the Rangers who are trying to join in. Leaving in fact the Rangers awfully exposed behind enemy lines. It looks like they are trying to clear out this heavy machine gun. And the machine gun is forced to retreat, but it's not killed. And now it looks like those Rangers will be left behind to face all of this German elite infantry. Stormtroopers and veterans with 3 Full Grenadiers will be able to lay down quite a lot of firepower and resist even more. Artillery fire being laid down in an attempt to cover the Rangers, but will it succeed? No, apparently not. Or perhaps it will, in fact, killing quite a huge swath of infantry. And further artillery fire just being laid down in a huge blanket as a last bit from the Allies is to try and take the central position. Rangers, infantry sections, and of course loads and loads of artillery kicking up dirt in huge plumes. And I do believe we are seeing a creeping barrage, in fact. That's a bit of a rarity, but I do believe a bit excessive in this case, as it managed to hit absolutely nothing. And now we are seeing another blanket of Nebulurfer fire covering everything in a smoldering inferno. And Pioneers moving in to scavenge munitions. And now we are seeing veterancy armor, veterancy 3 for the armor as well, making the Tiger tank even more lethal, in fact, meaning it will take less damage and less penetration and receive more health, I believe. So the Tiger veterancy 3 is an absolute beast. Germans continue to dig in here. Stooks and reserve Full Grenadiers holding the main line with an MG42 nearby, and this one is still uncrewed. Quite amazing. Usually you see a dropped MG42 quickly getting recruited by either side, but in this case it is apparently forgotten by Major Muffin, by Captain Squaloke, by Hauptmann Slaithium, and Major Vexial. We shall have to see how this continues. Major Muffin preparing perhaps for one final charge. Ostwind now setting up to cover this central position. Though you want to be careful about positioning your straight at an enemy point, of course, because this basically indicates, oh right, I'm here. And in this case, when the opponent has a lot of artillery, basically says, oh hey, drop some artillery here, would you? American infantry getting swiftly suppressed by the MG42 as riflemen are moving towards from the south. Artillery fire though knocks out the old barn and the MG42 in it. But these riflemen are taking quite a bit of fire, covering this Duke in sticky bombs, damaging the engine, immobilizing and almost destroying this Duke. In fact, Rangers moving in from the south, forcing those Full Grenadiers who are forced into quite a gauntlet. One team is already down and another barely gets out of there. This is heavy losses for the Full Grenadiers, and Slaithium is in fact forced back. One Duke catches fire and is brewed up, leaving only one Duke to try and desperately get out of there as the Rangers hunt it down like crazy huntsmen after some poor animal. Since what other huntsman would go in with bazookas? But there it goes. Duke barely managed to get out of there as the Rangers are completely exhausted. In fact, 3 Rangers teams, quite a lot of heavy infantry. But the center is lost in the process. The British commander unable to help. In fact, now he's just gone on a completely support position and just blasting away with priests. I'm not entirely sure that's a good idea. In fact, some armor again would have been of more help to really help the American, and of course try to hold back some more of this infantry. Cromwells would certainly have been of help against some of these Full Grenadiers. And now Americans are digging in alongside those British in the north, a bit beyond the range of the Nebulurfers. But they will need to make some swift moves towards the south and take this point. Otherwise all will be lost. In the meanwhile, looks like Vexial is digging in towards this point with his Stormtroopers and Tiger. Major Muffin will have to continue the assault. since he does hold the majority of the infantry. There we go, Rangers leading the charge. MG42 forced into a retreat and retreating straight through the Rangers, dodging numerous bazooka rockets. Will he survive? No, he will not. Instead, he was killed. And now we do hear the Nebelwerfers once more, screaming towards the skies and blasting this area to prevent any American passing towards this victory point. But American infantrymen are a bit sneaky and are moving towards the south as well. And my goodness, 3 priests? This is a battlefield, not a church. We need some actual tanks and not self-propelled artillery. And we are seeing a King Tiger now joining into the fun as well. So quite a lot of heavy armor for the German troops of the Kampfgruppe Vexial. King Tiger though getting covered in sticky bombs and buttoned by the Bren guns. Not doing much damage, but now howitzer shells are raining in towards the King Tiger. The King Tigers being quite heavily exposed, but howitzer rounds are in fact bouncing off the King Tiger's incredibly thick armor. And the King Tiger just watches sleepily as all the things explode right around it, but it itself barely takes any damage, and another howitzer shell just bounces off. Quite extraordinary. And looks like we are having a lot of priests again, barely infantry. Americans have given up complete control in the north to try and launch that assault in the center, but of course they were beaten back by all the artillery. And of course now the presence of the King Tiger really threatens the Allied hold on this area. So there you go, American Rangers once more trying to lead the assault. Again, no armor support, nothing really much from the British either, just priests. And as you saw, those will barely do any damage to this King Tiger. And Rangers leading a charge but being forced back by glorious propaganda, while the rest are cut apart by Ostwind and Puma fire. In fact, slaughtered like lambs to the slaughter and forced into a full retreat. Riflemen now joining into a fresh assault with British infantry as well. Looks like those priests will be trying to lay down some very heavy covering fire, but again, without any armor support, they won't be coming much farther, I think. Now charging in straight into Ostwind and Puma fire once more. Riflemen being cut apart as well. Ostwind's apparently continuing onwards, not really caring. And now the King Tiger joins in once more, moving through the thick cover of artillery fire. Sticky bombs going off on this Puma, and looks like the Puma might be damaged, but no. Instead, those riflemen are forced to run the gauntlet, and rifleman teams are lost, including 1 veteran. See 2 extreme losses, and now we are seeing artillery fire clashing in on the German vehicles and armor caught out in the middle of the road. And an Ostwind also catches on fire, leaving behind only 1 last Ostwind flak panzer, desperately trying to get through all the artillery fire as it mercilessly pounds the ground and the road. And what is this? A 17-pounder apparently having been laid down onto the field. Knock blasting away at this Ostwind, might knock it out. No, the Ostwind gets behind the building. And looks like a small attempt was made here, but stopped by the Tiger. And now we're seeing the Wurfrahmen being equipped for the half-tracks. Wurfrahmen basically mean throwing frames. That was the real name. The Stuka Sofus was basically just a nickname. And there we go, heavy rockets just blasting the entire field, slaughtering everything caught in it. And in fact, looks like this 17-pounder gun will be removed. The sappers and infantry section troops really taking quite a bit of damage, and this building has been left completely untouched by all of the heavy artillery fire so far. A bit of a rarity. In fact, the Nebelwerfer is also moving in, so quite a lot of rocket artillery for the Germans. And now the King Tiger moves in straight in front of the 17-pounder, not caring, blasting away. And Rangers moving in here, forcing away those Stuka Sofus, but taking quite a bit of fire as they are exposed by the Tiger and the Stormtroopers. And now it's Firestorm clearing out the 17-pounder, the King Tiger being buttoned up. But there's nothing to actually damage it, so it means nothing. And Ostwind moving in towards the rear, firing away this priest, but apparently deciding otherwise. And King Tiger being pelted with bazooka rockets, as if though they were rocks. And now Nebelwerf rockets just blasting away all the remaining American infantry, desperately trying to hold the position and forced to escape from this huge inferno, as only thing left is that, oh dear, we are seeing a V1 rocket being thrown into the pit, only knocking out the Ostwind though. That's a bit ironic. This priest is still there, and there you go. Game over. The Allied forces were forced back by the power of Kampfgruppe Vexial. Of course, what can we learn from this? Well, Nebelwerfers are quite good if your opponent begins digging in, particularly as the British. If he does that, Nebelwerf them. Really pound them with artillery and slowly push them out. That was a really good thing, again, also because they used infantry so much without barely any armor. That could really have been changed again if they had gotten some more armor. If they'd gotten some Stuarts, some Cromwells, some Shermans, some M18s or M10s, that could really have changed the way this battle would have been conducted. But instead they just continued to throw infantry and some support weapons at them, which just got blasted out by artillery, stormtroopers and Tiger tanks. So there you go. That was basically the main problem. They didn't get any armor, even despite the fact they had the advantage at one moment. Instead they just seemed to get content, and then for their laxity they just got pounded by artillery. So avoid that. Also perhaps some medic stations or casualty clearing stations would also been a help, but the main problem was they got lax, they dug in, they didn't get any armor, and they got punished brutally for it. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed this match. If you did, why not subscribe or tell your friends, and if you didn't, well, why not send in a replay of your own. This is Imperial Dane saying, do remember to get armor. Cheers.